Hey guys, um, today we're going to do monokote hinges. Um, I do them pretty much how Walter described them, except for the only difference that I do, and I don't think it matters either way. I use monokote trim solvent whenever I actually attach the two layers together to form the hinge. Um, I don't see any difference either way. Whichever way you're comfortable with works just as well. We're going to do a regular S1 ringmaster, so we're going to have to work around the horn because I want this to look very original. Should be pretty easy. Monocote hinges are not a problem. They're very easy to do. Uh, I'll apologize in advance. The video might be a little lengthy because I'm going to try and explain it as I go. It's not much to it. The only difficult part or tedious part is whenever you're actually applying each of the square to the hinge itself. But I'll show you another trick that I do to keep everything very straight as it goes. So I'm going to pause it. I'm going to try and edit out as much time consuming stuff as possible. So let me pause it. I'll go ahead and cut the two strips. I'm going to cut two 3/4 inch strips uh, to make the hinge material. Okay, so now we got our strips. This one is shiny side down. This one's shiny side up. We're going to overlap. By your normal 1/4 inch. So that's going to give us a 1 inch strip of actual hinge material. Tape on one side. I could kind of pull on it here to give myself an even overlap. Okay. Okay, so now that we have our overlap, um, I'll take trim solvent to activate this. I did this over on, I think it was paint and finishing. This is a method I've been doing for a long time on the Storm Cloud Ringmaster. Whenever I set up multiple colors and do layers, I use this method to actually attach the colors first and then put the sheet on each wing panel or whatever I'm covering as one sheet. That way you can apply it all together. Anyway, since we have it laid out, you're just going to lift up the top and apply the trim solvent in there. And it's pretty much instant. You know, you can do the iron on this too. This is just what I do. I don't know why. That's just what I've always done. So, uh, anyway, work that in all the way across. Right to second. And then after the trim solvent, take the tape off the ends. And then I left the clear ends on because we're going to cut this off and square it up anyway. So at this moment, when we square off the ends, we'll actually go ahead and trim the clear off as well. Always keep your lid on that trim solvent. That stuff is very powerful. I don't know if you can see it. I think so. Everything I do as far as monocote is actually on a sheet of glass that I can move around. Uh, you can iron and do all kinds of stuff on the glass that don't really stick to the glass, so that's helpful. And of course, for cutting. Okay. Now, one thing you can do to help you keep all this straight would be halfway on this, we would mark the center line, and then we could draw with a Sharpie a straight line all the way across. The center line of this hinge material, and I use just a regular black Sharpie on this because the trim solvent will take the black Sharpie off in one wipe, and that's going to help us to line this hinge line up on the actual hinge line of the component. Okay, so I'm going to make these 1 inch wide. The component is 19 inches wide, so I'm just going to have 19 pieces. I don't know specifically if there's a, you know, rhyme or reason on how wide your hinges should be. This is just how I do it. So I will make you watch me cut all these. Okay, I got all my pieces cut here. The easiest way would be to start with the stabilizer. That way we can work around the horn later. Um, because of the way this is, we're gonna put this all together, fit it, and we're actually gonna cut, an 1/8 of an inch slot in one of these hinges to accommodate the horn. I think I said this was 19 inches. It's 17 inches. I just want to clarify. I know I'll get heat for that one. I got my line in the center as up, so I'll do this, facing up. Make sure my horn's on the right side and my slot. So I'm gonna do the stabilizer. We are almost exactly 17, close enough for government work. The overlap, I doubt you're going to see this. The overlap on the hinge itself is the same width of the component. So whenever we do the overlap, the reason I drew that little black line is because we're going to line that black line up with our hinge slots. So we're going to line it up with the slot. And because of that, we're going to have some overlap over the edge. That's cool. Sorry. I got the camera on the stand. I'm trying to watch it and make sure I do the job correctly too. Um, right now, I have this iron set at 280 degrees. Uh, for me, with this particular iron, obviously, you know, you might have something different. I keep getting out of camera. I'm sorry. With this particular iron, 280 is about where my adhesive activates, and I don't get shrinkage. I don't want to shrink any of these at all. My goal is, we're going to have a really heavy overlap. And what I mean is, where this hinge sets, because we need the strength, where this hinge is, this line is going to follow all the way across, and we're going to kind of work that out in a little while too, because once this hinge is done, then we're going to cover the whole thing. Well, when you have this heavy of overlap, you have the possibility of air bubbles uh, and other things. Anytime you have this heavy of an overlap, this line can show through the top covering pretty aggressively. So if these are not as perfectly straight as possible, any deviation from a straight line really sticks out bad. So what I'm going to do is let me show you another one here. Excuse me. So now the shiny side, get a battery warning. The shiny side is up now. So now we're going to take the shiny side and see. All we're going to do is every time we put one on, we're just going to line up that line all the way down. It may seem a little tedious, but like I said, I mean, anything you want to look spectacular, you want to make sure that monokote is cut as straight as you can possibly get it, because anything from straight really stands out. Um, so let me go ahead and, sorry, let me go ahead and pause it here. I'm going to go ahead and stick a few on, and I'll show you this straight line uh, down the whole component as we go here. And then real quick, as I'm doing this, notice, like I said, my line is definitely straight down the pike there. Um, as you iron this on, pull it down and heat up the part that is not going to stick, because that's what gives you that cool shape, and that's going to help you whenever you apply the other side of this component. Okay, so they're all on. We got a nice straight line there. Now the painstaking process begins of starting this all over. We're only halfway there. Like I said, our workaround is going to be putting the horn into the slot. Um, on this, because of where it ended up, it's actually just as simple as, because we're at the same, almost flush with that horn slot. We could just take that slot and cut it straight. We have enough strength in the rest of the hinges that we should not have to worry about that whatsoever. So after we make that slot cut, make sure that you hit that area again with your iron. Now with that, have a pretty nice fit up here to where uh, obviously you should resemble cloth hinges there. Functionally, it's the same. So I will strap those bad boys down and we'll come back. Uh, Before I get all these finished up, I wanted to point out, this is one of the things I do kind of often. I don't want to miss anything on accident. One thing that I would do is I would adhere like these two. That way I can pull on this one pretty tight, to make sure that my height is the same. That way I'm not out of plane on the elevator versus the stab. You don't want to have, a high hinge line or something. So by doing that, you kind of make sure that you can go ahead. And I'm going to skip that one because I'm right at the tip. I can pull that tip pretty good there, set the height. Kind of tack it there, get myself out of the way. Because then, I could turn it around, get some good tension on that one. I got a weird camera stand going on here. I'm trying to focus on everything. Okay, I mean, that's really it, except for the trimming. You can see it's very, very, very easy to move. Because I have a lot of tension on everything, it'll want to kind of spring back to neutral, but it's very free and very easy. Got a nice checkerboard look. Like I said, you'll want to kind of bury that in as you cover the rest. As long as everything is very straight, it's it's not going to stand out as bad. But there's other methods you can do to really sink that in, blend it in, I should say, and whenever you put the top coat on, it won't show so bad. So if there's any interest, I will complete this unit. It's just going to be white. I'm just covering this in white because the owner of this aircraft is actually going to apply his own decals or graphics or decorations. So anyway, this is going to be all white. If there's any interest, I'll go ahead and do a video of finishing this up. I also plan on doing a video on how I monocote a fuselage because there was a lot of interest in my ringmaster and my twister threads, but I didn't shoot any videos. So now that I have a stand, I can actually shoot a video if anybody wants to see how I monocote a fuselage. Thanks for watching. Again, sorry it's so long. Have a good day.